Let's talk about stress. It's something we all experience, but it is often misunderstood. Stress is a negative emotional state occurring in response to events that are perceived as taxing or exceeding a person's resources or ability to cope. This definition can be better understood by the cognitive appraisal model of stress. This emphasizes the role of an individual's evaluation of events and situations and of the resources that he or she has to deal with the event. So first you would experience an event, then you would evaluate it by determining if you have the resources to cope. If you have the resources, then no stress. If you feel you don't have the resources, then you would have stress. When going through life, you'll experience stressors. These are situations or events that are perceived as harmful, threatening, or challenging. Fun fact is researchers used to believe that all changes in life were stressors, but today we know that change doesn't necessarily mean stress. Another thing that can cause stress in our lives are daily hassles. These are everyday minor events that annoy and upset people. It's important to know that the number of daily hassles researchers suggest to be a pretty good indicator of physical and psychological health, meaning the more daily hassles, the worse those two things are likely to be. Next, let's talk about acute and long-term stress. Acute stress is helpful as it plays a major role in fight versus flight responses. By us experiencing acute stress, our hypothalamus is notified, then sympathetic nervous system, then adrenal medulla, then catecholamines, including adrenaline. Prolonged stress, however, is bad as one might expect and can lead to lowering immunity and increased susceptibility to physical symptoms of illness. It is important to note psychoneuroimmunology. When looking at stress, this is an interdisciplinary field that studies the interconnections among physiological processes, nervous and endocrine system functions, and immune system. This is because these systems are always working together, even for instance when dealing with stress. Now looking at how we explain failure. There is either optimistic explanatory style, which is accounting for negative events or situations within external, unstable, and specific explanations, or pessimistic explanatory style, which is accounting for failure with internal, stable, and global explanation. Optimists are seen to be healthier and more likely to cope effectively with stressful situations. Related to that, we can look at behavior types. There is commonly type A behavior pattern, a style categorized by a sense of time, urgency, hostility, and competitiveness. Type B behavioral and emotional style is more laid back and relaxed. Both of these seem to be acceptable, except for if one is type A, it is extremely important to be aware of hostility, which in studies have shown associations to heart disease. Now let's look at dealing with stress. So first, look at control. The more perceived control over someone has, the less stress. So if you are able to control a situation, you might choose this as it will lower stress. Also, to deal with stress, it's important to have social support. When coping with stress, so either you can do problem-focused coping, where you change the stressor, or emotion-focused, where you change the reaction to the stressor. Both are completely viable options. Now let's look at minimizing the effects of stress. We have 4 suggestions. Number 1, try to avoid or minimize the use of stimulants like coffee and energy drinks and nicotine. These things tend to increase the effects of stress, working against you in coping with stress. Suggestion 2 is to exercise regularly. These do not have to be intense workouts, but merely something to do that helps buffer the negative effects of stress. Number 3 is get enough sleep, because getting enough sleep promotes resistance of stress. Number 4 is practicing a relaxation or meditation technique. This will affect the way you appraise a situation, so rather than automatically viewing it as stressful with meditation, you are likely to just view it as an event. So that's all we have today on the PSA about stress. So next time you're stressed out, try to meditate.